Hey guys, it's Bix. Welcome to Mentoring Monday. Huge topic today. I'm going to jump right into it. 8 tactics for dealing with haters. I post a lot on social media, both my personal life and my DJ brand, Bix, which seems like more than 50% of the time, some angry troll will post a negative or even a hateful comment. It's really unbelievable. Are there really that many unhappy people in the world? I don't know. Sure seems like it. I'll talk about 8 tactics for dealing with haters. Here goes. It doesn't matter how many people don't get it. What matters is how many people do. There'll always be people who just don't get what you're trying to say or what you're trying to do. When I bought a struggling company, the first thing I had to do was change the culture from a losing money culture to a making money, profitable, fun culture. In the beginning, the majority of the people resisted the changes that I made, so I focused on the few people who bought into my new philosophy to run the business. I focused on these people, and then other people started to notice the positive changes in the few that I focused on, and they eventually changed. Then I fired the final few people that just didn't get it after many tries, and I replaced them with people who bought into the vision. 2, 10% of the people will always find a way to take it personally. Expect it and treat it like math. In other words, 10% of the people will respond like assholes. Not because I'm bad, but because they're bad. If you anticipate this, then it will upset you less. On top of that, I assume that 1% of the people that respond are just batshit crazy. Think of the haters like a bell curve distribution, like a bell curve, like a bell. You have this bell shape with most of the area in the middle of the bell. Then on each side of the lower part of the bell is a small percentage of people on the extreme right and the extreme left who are mostly the outliers with extreme positions or extreme opinions. Just understand everything sort of follows like this bell curve, and you really want to ignore the ones on each side of the bell curve, just a few percent on each side. 3, when in doubt, starve the negative comments of oxygen. What are the 3 primary responses to online criticism? As I mentioned, starve it of oxygen in about 90% of the cases, which means ignore it. If you comment, then you give the negative comment more life. You keep it alive. For my Bix brand, I made a branding decision not to respond to destructive criticism. If it's really negative, I just delete it. Recently, I decided to block the 10% or so of my friends who constantly post extreme political views. I'm just tired of it. Ignore and starve negative comments of oxygen. This is not easy to do, so maybe in your mind, you might want to come up with a trigger. So for me, I think of the Solly's track that I remixed called No Comment. And when I get tempted, I think of no comment. That's my trigger, not to respond. Promote it, let's say 8% of the time, because sometimes we receive healthy criticism. Not all critics are haters. Sometimes healthy criticism can make for a very interesting discussion. By promoting healthy criticism, it shows I'm open to criticism and that I don't take myself too serious. And the last response, engage with trolls after you've drank too much wine, about 2% of the time. And I always regret this. Whenever I've done this, nothing good has ever happened. I did not change the other person's mind. I just gave them more opportunity to show their hateful comments. So when you engage with someone who's ignorant or hateful, then that makes 2. 4, if you do respond, don't over-apologize. There are times when you screw up and speak too soon, but more often than not, acknowledgement is all that's required. Some version of, I see you, I recognize this, This will diffuse about 80% of the people who appear to be haters or would be haters. Just present the facts and wish them luck. Let them come to their own conclusion. When I do respond, I try to make it like, thanks for the feedback. I'm always trying to improve. And I hope you find what you're looking for. This often neutralizes the situation. 5, you cannot reason someone out of something they didn't reason themselves into. You cannot argue with ignorance. This is just a hard and fast law of the universe. Some people just don't want to listen, grow, or change. Not your fault. It's just the way they are. Quite often, an ignorant or a stubborn person has to hit rock bottom before they'll become more open-minded. Nothing you can do about it. 6, trying to get everyone to like you is a sign of mediocrity. General Colin Powell once said, by trying to get everyone to like you, you'll avoid the tough decisions, and you'll avoid confronting the people who need to be confronted. And Nick Saban, the most successful American football coach in the history of college football, said, high achievers don't like mediocre people, and mediocre people don't like high achievers. So I don't really care if low achievers and angry people don't like me. Or on the other hand, if someone that may fall in this category asks me for help, I do enjoy helping people that help themselves. But for most low achiever and negative people who really don't want to change, it's just best not to associate with them. You don't need them in your life. 7, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish or even stupid. To do anything remotely interesting in life, you need to train yourself to handle and even enjoy criticism. I have a saying that applies to this. I call it after the sting. Sometimes it stings when someone criticizes you. If you recognize this feeling, realize that it's only temporary. It will eventually pass through and out of your mind. It might take a few minutes, even a few hours. It might even take 24 hours. Give it time to pass and then ask yourself, is there anything that I could use from those comments to get better or to improve? Is that person trying to help me? Except that you may do some stupid and foolish things in your life. When I do stupid things, I appreciate the criticism. It helps me not repeat the same behavior. Learning how to accept criticism will help the quality of your life. Very important. Living well is the best revenge. Nassim Taleb made a quote that describes this well. Robustness is when you care more about the few people who like your work than the multitude who hates it. Fragility, being fragile, is when you care more about the few who hate your work than the multitude who love it. Choose to be robust. Choose to live well. My style of music is not supported by the top 2 weekly radio shows in trance. Initially, that bothered me. Why aren't they playing my music? I used to ask. I started focusing on the fans and the shows that love my style of music. I create music that makes me happy, and I appreciate the listeners who enjoy and appreciate my style. I stopped focusing on the shows that don't promote my music. I'm much happier when I focus on the people who appreciate it. Negative feedback, criticism, and even hateful comments will always happen, like the Bell distribution curve model example that I mentioned. There's just nothing we can do about it, except anticipate it. But what we can control is how we react to it. I hope this topic will help you better deal with the haters out there. As they say, haters gonna hate. We don't have to hate them back. We don't have to respond. So until next week, this is Big signing off. And remember, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. Cheers.